Hello, this is a quick walkthrough of our spatial speech in noise virtual audio test that has been specifically redesigned for our project with the cystic fibrosis trust and RNID. So in this case, we start with having this environment where there are some virtual loudspeakers around us, and we can start the test by looking at the threshold test. Now, this threshold test is a simple test where we hear some words in noise, and the level of the words will adaptively be modified until we cannot recognize them anymore. And then will be increased again until we can recognize them, and then up and down until we find the threshold at which we can understand 50% of the words. This is our speech reception threshold, which means, in this case, speech reception threshold 50%, which means that at that level of masking noise and target speech, we can understand 50% of the words. So let's try to have a look at this. So go. Now I've heard hurt, and then I can select it here. Cheese. Now this was very quiet and I couldn't hear it, so I'm just gonna do randomly. One. Cheap, I think. Let's try. This was pale. I think this could have been pile, but I'm not sure. Chalk, maybe. Cheap, I think. This one I really didn't hear it. As you notice, anytime that I respond correctly, then the next time the level of the word is gonna be decreased, so it's gonna be harder. If I make a mistake, the level is gonna be increased. And this adaptive up-down procedure will then converge into 1 point, which is my SRT. This one I didn't hear it, so I'm just gonna go randomly. I think this was heat. Pile. This was talk. This might have been chalk. This one I didn't hear it, so random. Cheat. This might have been hard. Perfect. My signal to noise ratio is minus 12 dB, which means that when the speech is minus 12 decibels below the noise, I can still understand 50% of the words. This is important because this is the level at which I'm going to carry out my test. Now, the spatial speech test, virtual audio in this case, is a dual paradigm test and is looking both at my speech understanding in a task that is similar to the one before, but in this case is done with 2 words, but also my localization ability, and I'll show you how. So if we click here, then we can go in the demo. The demo is a bit easier because it's done above my threshold, so I will hear clearly the words. Let's try.
Cheap, cheek.
Now, one thing that I need to say here, well, is cheap and cheek, clearly. Now, this is asking me, please identify the spatial position of the second word. In this case, it was left. One thing that is important in this video, unfortunately, it is not be possible to render the spatial audio effects. Now, what I'm hearing is the sound coming from all around me and the words coming from 2 different loudspeakers, first one and then the other. Unfortunately, you hear it in mono, so you won't have any spatial feature, spatial attributes in the sound. Sorry for this, is a limitation of the Oculus. Obviously, the audio is modified according to my head rotation. So if I focus, for example, from the front speaker and I turn my head, I will hear the audio moving, remaining in the front. In this case, the second word was on the left. Let's try another trial.
Hoot, hurt.
Now this was hoot and then hurt. And then the second one was on the left.
Cheat, cheap.
In this case, it was cheat and cheap or cheek, I don't remember. And the second one was on the left. I finished the demo. Now we're going to do the actual test. Now, in the test, the test is going to be done at minus 12 dB SNR, which means that the speech is going to be exactly at the threshold where I understand 50% of it, which is going to make it much, much harder. Let's try once. pile and peel, and the second one on the right, maybe. This was clearer. Heart and hurt, and the second one on the right. So you see that the test is rather difficult. The reason why we carried out on threshold is because we want to spot when the person improves or actually gets worse very easily. And doing it at threshold means that we are just there at the threshold where we understand 50%. If the hearing decreases, then both the spatial localization, the spatial task and the speech task will decrease also very visibly. And then we can sort of raise a flag and say, there is a problem, please go to the clinic to do a test. I hope this was clear enough. And that's it. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.